Hey friends, it's Jennifer with the Passionate Papery Company. I hope you guys are doing well today. I am going to make a journal out of this book cover that I gutted quite some time back. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the cover obviously, but I need to reinforce the spine. So I'm just taking some fabric that I had and I thought the yellow matched the cover really well, so I'm just going to tear a piece of that off, and then I'm going to glue that down to reinforce the spine to make this journal. And I'm just spraying the fabric, and I'm going to take some tacky glue and just really get it laid down there and get the fabric, rearrange it a little bit. And I take my bone folder and just kind of go over it a couple of times and just try to smooth out that fabric as best as I can. This part of the journal really won't be seen, but I still like for it to be as smooth as possible. So now that that's done, I need to do something on the spine of the outside, and you can see that it's got red engraved, the title and the authors on there. So I've decided that I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to rip a piece of that fabric and place over top of the spine. But before I can do that, I don't want the red to show through on the fabric or through the fabric, because obviously I think that it will. So I'm just going to take some gesso and I'm going to do several layers of that. You'll see me adding a layer, then drying it, then adding a layer, then drying it, then going back over it a little bit with my finger to still cover up the red, because I don't want that to show through once it's dried and I put the fabric on. So you're just going to see this process. It takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it. So now that I get that pretty much covered up, I'm going to go ahead and add my strip of fabric just like I did before. I'm going to take some tacky glue and just get it down, take my bone folder and go over it a couple of times and just sort of smooth it out and make sure that everything is laid down really good and glued down really good. Next is the closure. I go back and forth between closures, and I really like, for a book like this, I like an elastic closure, but it's sort of hard to put one on because of gluing, and you can't really sew through the hardcover of a book. So I decided to take a couple of brads, and I've never tried this before, and it actually worked out good, but I'm going to poke some holes in the back of the book and put the brad through, and you'll see how I attached the elastic to it, then folded the brad down and glued the elastic tails in place. and the brad secured the elastic closure, and it turned out really well. Okay, so now that we've got the outside cover basically done and we've reinforced the spine and got the closure on there, I've got a piece of paper here that I'm going to tear in half to do the inside cover, just to cover all of that inside part. And I usually put pockets on the inside, and I had some of this leftover piece of fabric, and I thought, how cute would that be to make little fabric pockets? So I take it over to my sewing machine and I sew around them and snip the threads and then glue those inside covers into the book, and it turned out really well. I was a little surprised, but I think it looks beautiful and it's very matchy, and I think it looks good. So now that we've got all that done, I'm going to go through and pick some papers. And I already had some papers that I have already just sort of done as scraps from other projects, and just I have what I would call just signatures laying around with already sewn on or different pattern paper. So I just kind of went through what I had and picked out some papers, and then you'll see me trimming the sides because this book is a little bit smaller than a half sheet, so I had to trim some of them down and fold the papers. And this took a little bit of time because I wanted to make sure everything fit in there okay, and I did some folds, and then you'll see me going back and readjusting the papers to get it just perfect inside the book. But it's just my process of how I go through and do things, and so that's what you're gonna see next. with the way this turned out. And so now I just took a piece of paper and measured it out, cut it out the length of the book, and went ahead and put some holes in that. And I'm just making sure here that it's going to fit in my book, my actual cover, and the inside of my signature, because once I poke those holes, it should automatically go through there. So now you're going to see me actually putting holes in the cover and then through the signature. And then once those are done, I'm going to thread up some wax thread, and then I'm going to attach the signature to the cover with the thread. So the signature fits inside the book good. I've got it all sewn in. I've got the closure done. And so now I'm just going to flip through it and make sure that everything is attached well and that all of the pages look good inside of the book. Okay, so now that this part's finished, I want to put some journaling cards inside of the journal and the pockets. So I have already pre-made some cards. I just make them up whenever I have scraps or whenever I'm doing extra projects, and I just have some laying around. So these have already been made up of a bunch of different things at one time. So I'm just going to go through here and pick out some journaling cards that I think will go good in this journal and just place them inside in various different spots. And you'll see me change some up and move some around, but it's all part of the process, just trying to figure out where I like everything to go. So after I get done placing the cards in, everything's where I like it, I'm going to work on the cover now. And even though I like the yellow color, I think that it needs a little bit more, so I decide I'm going to stamp some different stamps on here. And you will even see me, after I finish stamping, I'm going to take out some colored pencils and color in parts of the stamps and color in parts of the cover. And again, it's just my process of how I do different things, so you can just sit back and relax and watch. So after I finish coloring everything, I feel like it needs a little bit more stamp. So I'm going to pull out some stamps and some ink and just put stamps all over where I feel like they need to go. Most of the ink that I use for my stamps is archival ink, but if you're going to use something that is not waterproof ink like distressed oxide or something of that nature, I would recommend that when you are finished with your project, and this is on paper or covers, I always spray it with a workable fixative, because if those things are not, if you're not using waterproof ink, then if the journal were to get wet or you were to spill something on it and you didn't want it to run, you need to spray some workable fixative on it. And so that's what I did at the end of this. And so now I'm just going through the entire journal, making sure the cards are where I like them and that everything is in place, and just taking one final look at it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video tutorial. I hope it gives you some inspiration. I love watching other videos to get inspiration, and if you like it, give me a hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you the next time. Have a good day.